Good afternoon, everybody. What you are looking at is a video of President Trump has just landed over in England. He has not departed Marine One as of yet. Pulled this off the feed, so we're just waiting for President Trump to exit the helicopter. Before I decide to get into the show, I figured we might want to just watch President Trump as he arrives in England. Those of you guys who watched this earlier this morning, that hearing with Kash Patel, and man, if you weren't certain before that, by the end of this video, you will be completely certain that there's probably no unity possible. I mean, the only way unity in this country can happen is if it's willed and done by God, because I don't see possible, after what I've seen in the last 12 hours, I don't see how we can come back together as a country. Might as well have like two different sides of America at this point. It's absolutely nuts. But I'm going to let this play, President Trump, then we're going to get into the show. So understand that, no, I haven't disappeared. I haven't gone anywhere. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're waiting for President Trump to come up. What they're probably waiting for, by the way, is the helicopters there, and they might be waiting for the vehicles to show up. I gather. So let's just keep, we'll watch it for a little while. And if he shows up, I will be right back on. I mean, if he doesn't show up. So let's just listen in. Okay, they're just driving around in circles out there. So, from what I understand, they're waiting for the plane to arrive, and then they'll get in the vehicles. Oh, I can see it. Is this U.S. Air Force One coming in? It looks like we might have a plane. Don't rightly know yet. He's not there. He's not there, so we're going to move on. I don't know if you guys have seen it as of yet. And what I'll do, by the way, is when he lands and if he says anything, I will definitely come back and put it on here. I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the press conference yet. The press conference where the district attorney in Utah for the state charges, the federal charges have not been filed yet, but the state charges, they had a press conference. And in this press conference, the state's attorney came out, and there's now no doubt what has happened. And I also have to be very careful because I don't know, some of you guys realized earlier on Charlie Kirk's podcast, Matt Walsh and a couple people were talking, and they were being very descriptive about Transformers, and they got nuked supposedly by YouTube. So we have to be very careful because I gather it's still a very touchy subject that they don't really want us talking about. But this is legal in nature, and so they can't really have a problem with this because this was an actual press conference. Let's listen in.
The murder of Charlie Kirk is an American tragedy. Charlie Kirk was murdered while engaging in one of our most sacred and cherished American rights, the bedrock of our democratic republic, the free exchange of ideas in a search for truth, understanding, and a more perfect union. It is also an offense against the state and to the peace and enjoyment of the people of Utah and of all those who visit here. But Charlie Kirk's murder also strikes a more personal and intimate chord. Charlie Kirk was first and foremost a husband and a father to two beautiful young children. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. Like all murders, the senseless and needless taking of Charlie Kirk's life has shattered the lives of those he loved and those who loved him. To Charlie's wife, Erica, his two young children, his parents, his family, and his friends, I express my sincere condolences and offer my heartfelt prayers on your behalf. I also want to express my concern for everyone who was at Charlie's Turning Point USA event at the Utah Valley University, and all who have been impacted by this tragedy. As county attorney, I am charged with bringing justice to those who offend our laws. I am charged with bringing justice for those who are harmed. I am charged with bringing justice for Charlie Kirk. I am committed to these aims. I take this responsibility seriously. Today, after reviewing the evidence that law enforcement has collected thus far, I am filing a criminal information charging Tyler James Robinson, age 22, with the following crimes. Count 1, aggravated murder, a capital offense, for intentionally or knowingly causing the death of Charlie Kirk under circumstances that created a great risk of death to others. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony. The state is further alleging aggravating factors on counts 1 and 2 because the defendant is believed to have targeted Charlie Kirk based on Charlie Kirk's political expression and did so knowing that children were present and would witness the homicide. The state is also charging defendant with count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for moving and concealing the rifle used in the shooting. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony for disposing the clothing he wore during the shooting. Count 5, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to delete his incriminating texts. Count 6, witness tampering, a third-degree felony for directing his roommate to stay silent if police questioned him. And count 7, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor, for committing homicide knowing that children were present and may have seen or heard the murder and did so based on Charlie Kirk's political expression. Also, following the press conference, I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. I do not take this decision lightly, and it is a decision I have made independently as county attorney, based solely on the available evidence and circumstances and nature of the crime. Because we are seeking the death penalty, the defendant will continue to be held without bail in the Utah County Jail. Turning to the 10-page information, these are the allegations. On September 10th, 2025, at approximately 12:23 p.m., Charlie Kirk was shot and killed while speaking to a large crowd on the campus of Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. Police found the suspected murder weapon, a bolt-action .30-06 rifle, nearby. Over the next approximately 33 hours, police conducted a manhunt for the shooter until the evening of September 11th, 2025, when Tyler James Robinson surrendered to police at the Washington County Sheriff's Office. DNA consistent with Robinson was found on the rifle's trigger. After shooting Mr. Kirk, Robinson hid the gun, discarded the clothing he wore when he fired the rifle, and told his roommate to delete incriminating text messages and not talk to police. Children were present at the time of the shooting. The shooting. Turning Point USA, a nonprofit organization founded in 2012 by Charlie Kirk, organized a public outdoor event to be held at noon on September 10th, 2025 at UVU. The event was the first in a series of similar events to be held at college campuses nationwide. Mr. Kirk is a well-known conservative activist, famous for these type of events where he discusses various political issues and debates with audience members. His events and comments have garnered a significant number of supporters and drawn the ire of many who disagree with his political views. The event at UVU was announced far in advance and garnered significant publicity and interest. Consequently, several hundred people attended. Mr. Kirk was interacting with a crowd before the event officially got underway. Then, at approximately noon, Mr. Kirk seated himself under a portable canopy behind a table and microphone. He began speaking to the crowd and fielding questions from attendees, a format Mr. Kirk commonly used at his events. Mr. Kirk allowed his questioners to approach a microphone positioned directly in front of him. Mr. Kirk's team members were very close to him on his right and left, as well as some behind his canopy and others at various close locations near him. The large crowd surrounded Mr. Kirk on three sides. Temporary metal fencing separated attendees from Mr. Kirk by only a matter of feet. Directly above and behind Mr. Kirk was the UVU Hall of Flags, an indoor walkway spanning several hundred feet with floor-to-ceiling glass windows which overlooked the plaza where Mr. Kirk was seated. People were in the walkway at the time of the shooting. Approximately 15 minutes into the event, Mr. Kirk was answering a question about mass shootings by transgender individuals when a gunshot rang out. The bullet struck Mr. Kirk in the neck. He slumped to the ground almost immediately. The bullet's trajectory passed closely to several other individuals beside Mr. Kirk, including the questioner who was standing directly in front of Mr. Kirk. Children were visible near Mr. Kirk's stage when he was shot. Mr. Kirk was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was declared deceased. The medical examiner's report is still pending. So UVU surveillance. So at the moment of the shot, a UVU police officer was watching the crowd from an elevated vantage point. As soon as he heard the shot, he began to scan the area for threats. Believing the shot came from a rifle because of its sound, he looked for potential sniper positions. He noted a roof area approximately 160 yards away from Mr. Kirk as a potential shooting position and rushed there to look for evidence. The suspected shooting position is adjacent to an open, publicly accessible walkway. To access the suspected location, a person must climb over a railing and then drop to the roof only slightly below. The UV officer climbed over the railing and down onto the roof. He then walked to the suspected shooting position and confirmed a clear shooting corridor between the position and Mr. Kirk's seat. He also noticed markings in the gravel rooftop, consistent with a sniper having lain on the roof, impressions in the gravel potentially left by the elbows, knees, and feet of a person in a prone shooting position. Police reviewed surveillance from the camera covering the roof and discovered that it recorded an individual dressed in dark clothing cross the railing from the public walkway and drop onto the roof at approximately 12:15 p.m. Although the individual moved out of the camera's view for a short time, the camera again captured the individual running across the roof and then low crawling to the area the UVU officer recognized as where the suspected sniper had dropped into a prone shooting position. After a short time, which matches the known time of the shot, the individual arose and ran across the roof to the northeast. This discovery led to an intensive review of UVU surveillance recordings to attempt to track and identify the suspect. Surveillance revealed the following. At approximately 11:51 a.m., the suspect entered campus from the north. He is seen wearing a black shirt with an American flag in the center, a dark baseball cap, and large sunglasses. Throughout the surveillance, the suspect keeps his head down and rarely raises his head enough to get a clear image of his face. As he proceeds across the campus, he is seen walking with an unusual gait. The suspect walks with very little bending in his right leg, consistent with a rifle being hidden in his pants. This unusual gait continues until the suspect is seen crossing the railway off the open walkway and onto the roof, where he leaves the camera's view. A camera later captures the suspect as he runs across the roof to the suspected shooting position. Immediately after the shot was fired, a camera captures the suspect running across the roof carrying an item whose shape is consistent with a rifle. The suspect is then seen climbing down from the roof. He appears to drop the item he was carrying as he hits the ground in a controlled fall. He then picks up the item and runs toward the northeast end of campus. Expanded crime scene investigation. Law enforcement officers followed the suspect's escape path to the northeast end of campus, where they believe the suspect left campus and entered a wooded area. In that wooded area, investigators found a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a towel. The rifle contained 1 spent round and 3 unspent rounds. This is consistent with the facts officers observed at the time of and immediately after the shootings. No shell casings were found on the roof, suggesting a bolt action rather than an auto-loading weapon, and only a single round was fired. Each round in the rifle contained an etched inscription as follows. The fired cartridge was etched, "No Tice's bulge, OWO, what's this?" The second cartridge that was again not spent, the last 3 were not spent, were not fired. The second, "Hey fascist, catch," with arrow symbols. The third cartridge, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." The fourth cartridge, "If you read this, you are gay," LMAO. The rifle, ammunition rounds, and towel were sent for forensic processing. DNA consistent with defendant was found on the trigger, other parts of the rifle, the fired cartridge casing, 2 of the 3 unfired cartridges, and the towel. Law enforcement was unable to immediately locate the shooter, so they published photos of the shooter from the UVU surveillance cameras and asked for the public's help to identify him. Meanwhile, law enforcement continued to try to identify the shooter through other means. The Washington County investigation. On the evening of September 11th, 2025, as law enforcement continued their investigation, Tyler James Robinson went to the Washington County Sheriff's Office with his parents and a family friend to turn himself in. Robinson's mother stated that the following to police. On September 11th, 2025, the day after the shooting, Robinson's mother saw the photo of the shooter in the news and thought the shooter looked like her son. Robinson's mother called her son and asked him where he was. He said he was at home sick and that he had also been at home sick on September 10th. Robinson's mother expressed concern to her husband that the suspect shooter looked like Robinson. Robinson's father agreed. Robinson's mother explained that over the last year or so, Robinson had become more political and had started to lean more to the left, becoming more pro-gay and trans rights oriented. She stated that Robinson began to date his roommate, a biological male who was transitioning genders. This resulted in several discussions with family members, but especially between Robinson and his father, who have very different political views. In one conversation before the shooting, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk would be holding an event at UVU, which Robinson said was a stupid venue for the event. Robinson accused Kirk of spreading hate. Robinson's father reported that when his wife showed him the surveillance image of the suspected shooter in the news, he agreed that it looked like their son. He also believed that the rifle that police suspected the shooter used matched a rifle that was given to his son as a gift. As a result, Robinson's father contacted his son and asked him to send a photo of the rifle. Robinson did not respond. However, Robinson's father spoke on the phone with Robinson. Robinson implied that he planned to take his own life. Robinson's parents were able to convince him to meet at their home. As they discussed the situation, Robinson implied that he was the shooter and stated that he couldn't go to jail and just wanted to end it. When asked why he did it, Robinson explained there is too much evil and the guy, referring to Charlie Kirk, spreads too much hate. They talked about Robinson turning himself in and convinced Robinson to speak with a family friend who is a retired deputy sheriff. At Robinson's father's request, the family friend met with Robinson and his parents and convinced Robinson to turn himself in. The family friend spoke to police and reported telling Robinson that it would be best if he brought all evidence with him to the sheriff's office to avoid police having to search his parents' home. The friend also asked Robinson if he had any clothes that were related to what he did. Robinson replied that he had disposed of the clothes in different areas. The roommate. Police interviewed Robinson's roommate, a biological male who was involved in a romantic relationship with Robinson. The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages.
Okay, that was the big one. That's the big information that nobody wants us to be talking about. That they now confirmed that he was in a weird relationship. And what you're going to hear next is probably going to chill you. It's going to chill you to your bone. And it is the first block of this show that tells me we are never going to be able to unify. Unless God comes in with some divine intervention, I don't see how we will become a unified country. Because what he's going to tell you, the people on the left now have to admit they can't dance around, they can't use but there's two sides of every. No, there is one defining story here. There is one aspect to this entire tragedy that they are going to have to look in the camera and admit. There's no getting around it. So here it comes right now.
Messages to police. On September 10th, 2025, the roommate received a text message from Robinson which said, "Drop what you're doing. Look under my keyboard." The roommate looked under the keyboard and found a note that stated, quote, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." Police found a photograph of this note. The following text exchange then took place. After reading the note, the roommate responded, "What? You're joking, right?" Robinson, "I am still okay, my love, but am stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you." Roommate, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" Robinson, I am. I'm sorry." Roommate, "I thought they caught the person." Robinson, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude, then interrogated someone in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." Roommate, "Why?" Robinson, "Why did I do it?" Roommate, "Yeah." Robinson, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. If I may..."
Okay. Stop there. Some hate cannot be negotiated out. You're going to see with a bunch of the content I have for you today that they truly feel that. And so if they feel that they can't talk to us and we feel we can't talk to them, it is going to be very, very difficult to come to some sort of unification. And then after seeing the hearing this morning, you can see they don't want to come together. They just continually want to point fingers and call everybody on the right bad. It's never going to work. It's not going to happen.
Able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. Roommate, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson, "A bit over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there is a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson again. I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle. IDEK if it's had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me.
Just real quick, IDEK, I don't even know. I know some of you people may not be up into social media, short things. IDEK, I don't even know.
About Prince, I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the F will I explain losing it to my old man? Only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The F in messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notice bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke all right. I'm going to have to leave it. That really effing sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine, IDK. I think that was a $2K dollar scope. Wink, wink.
All right, so let me explain that. IDK means I don't know. So as he's talking in vernacular with his friend, he's letting him, I don't know, the scope on the rifle alone might have cost $2,000, which is a decent scope that he put on that rifle. So let him continue.
Robinson again, delete this exchange. Again, Robinson, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle, and it is very unique. He's calling me, RN, not answering. Robinson, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. Robinson, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. Again, you are all I worry about, love. That came from Robinson. Roommate, I'm much more worried about you. Robinson, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent. The search for Robinson's residence. Police executed a search warrant on Robinson's residence. During that search, police discovered a shell casing with etchings like the etchings found on the shells in the rifle near UVU. Police also found several target boards with bullet holes in Robinson's home. Now, as I stated in the beginning, when I read those allegations, these are allegations.
It's necessary to say that because as I think this is Trump's plane finally coming in. It's necessary for him to say that because our country, as you know, innocent till proven guilty. So right now they're just allegations. I think this is Air Force One coming in. We shall see real soon. But in any event, with all this evidence, it is going to be very, very hard for them to disavow and say he didn't do it. It's going to be really, really hard for them to say it. Because at this point, all they've got to do is match up things from his phone, see what was said. It's a slam dunk. Let's not wait. Let's have, as President Trump says, let's have a quick trial. Let's get it done. President Trump, the big bird, is now on the ground. Well, actually, I'm looking at a different monitor, but you will see it land shortly as well. Enough with this stuff. I can't even imagine people on CNN and MSNBC and all the other networks who are blah, 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 blah. Now you've got it right in your face. Here is yet another one of these people who are probably confused about what they're doing with the person that they're doing it with. And what it obviously was in a, quote, MAGA household. His father and grandfather now have to look, and his mom now have to look at their crazy ass son. As you can see, President Trump has landed. It's insane. We have created this persona of people, this idea that they can't be talked about, can't be touched. Why? Why is it offensive to talk about what we should be talking about? I don't want this video to go blip like they did to the Charlie Kirk show, but you guys know what I'm talking about. It's absolutely insane. As President Trump on Air Force One, and by the way, Melania did travel with President Trump today, or since this morning, whenever they left, so she's on the big bird as well as it comes in. But man, we have if there was ever any evidence of mind control, this is it. These people are completely whacked. They don't even know what they're doing. So you probably, this will be interesting. If they lean on an insanity defense, and if the other guy is leaning on an insanity defense, can you then say that what they're doing and how they're living their life is causing them to be insane? How are you insane? Well, I believe this and this. And where did you get it? I got it from MSNBC and the constant talk of the Democrats. I don't know how you defend this. Charlie Kirk is dead. This guy has it completely premeditated. He said, I've been planning it for a week. I just hope everybody who's going out and doing speeches understands what may be the danger lurking. These people aren't going to stop. I'm going to show you some things as soon as President Trump deplanes. And the big bird should be pulling up very shortly. It's doing that. You can see it coming, and I will go to it. Absolutely crazy. Scary. Should be scary for all of us. Not in terms of be afraid, but scary that these people walk amongst us. And they're saying this kind of insanity. It's just all kinds of crazy. Pray for them. Pray for everybody at this point. And here comes the big bird. The big bird. That's pretty cool how, like, there's one guy assigned to, like, pulling up the stairs. I guess he goes on the plane. The other guy, yeah, you got to go do what you got to do. That's never saw that before. Never understood it. Pretty interesting for sure. Absolutely pretty interesting. All right, so President Trump is now going to be on his way, I believe, to Buckingham Palace. I'm not really sure. When they show when he lands, if we still have that feed, I will go back to it as well so we can see what's going on there, and then we'll just continue with the show. Also, I understand in about 20 minutes, which I will still be on, the arraignment for the shooter is supposed to happen, and there should be a video feed from when I'm looking at that as well. So we should have his arraignment after he got charged this afternoon. Excuse me. Let's take a look at him when he comes to court. So there's a lot of stuff going on. President Trump traveling over to whichever Buckingham Palace, wherever he's going right now. We'll go ahead and keep a look at that. And then we got the 4:45. We have the arraignment. And I got a whole bunch of stuff for you, so just settle in. We got a lot of stuff to go over. I'm probably not going to do a night show today because of how much we've already done today. So just to let you know about that. I want to talk to you for a second about Brightcore, one of the sponsors here of the show. As you know, microplastics are infiltrating every part of our lives. Scientists estimate we now consume a credit card worth of plastic every single week, through our food, our water, and even the air we breathe. One study found plastic particles in 100% of human lung samples. Nobody is safe from this kind of exposure. And it gets worse. These plastics don't just sit in your body. They cross your gut lining, they leach into your blood and disrupt everything. They even get into your brain. They've been shown to alter gut bacteria, suppress your immune response, and increase your risk for neurodegenerative disease. It also increases your risk for metabolic disorders and even cancer. Some plastic toxins like BPA and phthalates, if you're not understanding what a phthalate is, I hope I'm saying that correctly, mimics your hormones and interferes with fertility and can damage your DNA. Even if you eat clean or avoid packaged foods, you're still being exposed. You can't opt out, but your gut can help you fight back. Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition is a potent ally in this toxic world. It helps you. Wait a minute. Let me get here and put this up here. Wait a second. So, with that, it's packed with over 900 probiotic strains that are absolutely unique to kimchi and proven to break down the bad BPA. It helps you detox from the inside out. It doesn't just support digestion, it helps protect your cells, your brain, your hormones, your blood, your future. Your body was never designed to handle plastic, but your gut was designed to protect you. You just have to give it the right tools. And when I say right tools, I'm talking Kimchi One from Brightcore Nutrition. And today, you can get 25% off with the code BARRY by clicking the link in the description. Or, for an even better deal, call my friends at Brightcore for up to 50% off your order and free shipping. And they'll give you some education. Give them a call now at 888-418-6738. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but silver and gold are still up 35-40% over the last 12 months. Boom.
It's genius. It's pure genius. America is the country that started the AI race. And as President of the United States, I'm here today to declare that America is going to win it. We're going to work hard. We're going to win it.
Why do so many financial experts call silver the most undervalued asset today? Because silver is essential to the future. From solar tech and electric vehicles to the explosive growth of artificial intelligence. Demand is rising fast, and yet silver is still trading at a bargain. With billions pouring into AI, silver prices have only one place to go, and that's up. In fact, silver may be the most overlooked asset class in financial planning. The opportunity for silver is well documented. The market for silver could double or even triple by 2026. You see, I believe in hard assets like this bar of silver. You can hold it in your hand, You can put it in your IRA. You can put it in your home safe. And relative to gold, it's very affordable. That's why I urge you to call my friends at Lear Capital and get their free report, The AI Revolution, and see why silver prices could be set to soar. Call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. But don't wait. We all know. We've seen it. The government can print lots and lots of dollars, but they can't print silver. You know, I find it important for me to, over the last year working with Lear Capital and being a customer of Lear Capital, it's not just something I'm advertising, that it's something that I'm actually involved in. I decided with Robin to take a good position in both gold and silver. Let me just show you, since the time we've been talking about it, this is the gold price. It's up almost 10.5% in the last month, 30 days. I know you've been watching videos for longer than 30 days. Over the last 6 months, 25%, 24%. And over the last year, gold is up 43%. 43. And if you want to look at silver, same thing. Last month, up 11%. So if you had put X amount of dollars in silver a month ago, you would be up 11%. Over the last 6 months, you would be up 25%. And then over the last year, you would be up 38%. I don't have to do much. I just need to show you a chart. And from there, you should think to yourself, yeah, it looks like things are moving quickly. Get yourself some. All right, so President Trump is en route to wherever he is going to be staying. And I'm going to continue with the show at this point because got a lot to talk to you about. This is why I feel that unity is going to be a problem. Some of you were watching this morning when they had the hearing with Kash Patel. And it wasn't a confirmation hearing. It was just an oversight hearing. And you tell me, after just these couple clips that I'm going to play for you, that you tell me if there's any chance of unity.
That man cannot see public office again. He is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated. And I hope these far-right podcasters come to their senses and recognize that this is not war. We do not divide this entire country based on political ideology.
We are on the eve of an authoritarian administration. This is what 21st century fascism is starting to look like. I'm on the opposite side of that. I'm not with the Nazis. People can finger point all they want. Look at the record. Look at the actions of what we are doing. I don't think a single person who has dedicated their entire career to preventing gun safety legislation from getting passed in this House has any right to blame anybody else but themselves for what is happening.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
We look today at the left or the right as the enemy. And it's worth us stepping back and understanding how we reclaim a sense of ourself that maybe is not so rooted in politics, which is inherently oppositional. There has been a permissiveness about political violence, and I do think the President of the United States has to answer for the way in which he's created that culture of permissiveness.
They try to act like, oh, political violence, it's the Democrats and it's the liberals, and it's like, actually, I mean, I'm not gonna say that like a left-leaning person cannot be violent, because that would be like crazy to say that somebody can't be, but baby, y'all got the white supremacists galore, okay? Like all of them. You got the Proud Boys. You got the neo-Nazis inherently in like who you are. Y'all are violent. Like y'all, and most of your violence has to do with people that's got a little bit of melanin. Like I can say all these things because they are true. That's not even just free speech. These are just facts. So don't get mad that I speak the truth and I speak facts, but I literally have never said anything to invoke violence. And I challenge somebody to go and find a clip of a Democrat invoking violence.
Yeah, you sure you want to make that challenge, girly? You sure that's the challenge you want to make? Well, see, I saw that clip and I said, you know what? I'm going to take that challenge. I am going to show you Democrats. I don't even want to refer to these people as Democrats anymore. I am going to show you libnuts. Actually, I just showed yourself. I just showed the people on your party, some of them. Chris Murphy, Dan Goldman, AOC. I didn't say those words. You just said them. Unbelievable. And they can't extricate themselves from this. Not at all. Now listen to this exchange, and if you didn't hear it, well, even if you did hear it earlier, I want you to check this out.
I'm going to ask you, has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
I completely disagree with your entire premise that I have lied or am misleading the FBI. If I were, the results that I announced today by the men and women of the FBI and the historic records we are doing to keep this country safe would not be possible. The men and women of the FBI are responding to our leadership and this administration's priorities. The only way people get terminated at the FBI is if they fail to meet the muster of the job and their duties, and that is where I will leave it. And you accusing me of lying is something I don't take lightly, but I'm not going to get into a tit for tat with you.
Well, let me just ask you to answer my question. Has anyone from the White House contacted you about personnel decisions?
Generally speaking, we always discuss with the White House, OMB, during the budget process, how many personnel we need, who we need where.
Answer is yes.
For budgetary purposes and
to fire people, agents, because they participated in investigations of the president.
I don't receive directions to do that.
Has anyone
I make the
suggested
decisions.
it? Has anyone asked you to do it? The best information is yes, you've taken suggestions and direction from the White House in firing qualified agents.
Any termination at the FBI was a decision that I made based on the evidence that I have as a director of the FBI, and it's my job, and I'm not going to shy away from it. And as you stated, those are allegations, and that is an ongoing litigation. So they'll have their day in court, so will we.
The allegations are not just in that lawsuit, Director Patel, and I think your testimony confirms that, in fact, you've taken direction from the White House.
I don't.
In those
does
retaliatory firings.
It literally does not.
Because you've acknowledged that, in fact, they have been in contact with you about personnel decisions.
The White House has been, do not put words in my mouth. We're on the record. The White House, like any administration, contacts its agencies on the budgeting process and where it needs personnel and where the mission priorities are. That always happens. If they didn't do that, they would be abdicating their responsibility to law enforcement. I will always work with my partners in the chain of command at the Department of Justice and the White House to ensure that this FBI is delivering the results we are delivering, to include the lowest murder rate in modern U.S. history, to include the most fentanyl seizures in modern U.S. history, to include the most lives saved and the most children found in modern U.S. history. That is a working FBI. That is not a failing FBI.
Let's move on to...
You see, if the Democrats truly wanted to, quote, unify, the way to do so in a public forum, this is probably the first big hearing since Charlie Kirk was killed. They could have just, by the way, yesterday at the prayer vigil for the House, six people, 6 Democrats are all who showed up. That's it. 6. So the unification of the country, as people are talking and saying we should unify, you can't force someone to love you. You can't allow people to tread on you and stomp on you and insult you and then just completely supplicate it. In order for this to work as a country, both sides, since they keep wanting to talk about both sides need to come together and acquiesce something. This hearing would have been a perfect time. It's the first one after the killing, and they could have said, you know what? We are not going to go down this route today. What we're going to do today is talk civilly to each other and let's, exhibit some oversight. Hey, how's it going? What do you need? Hey, can you tell me about this investigation, Director Patel? Can you tell me about that investigation? You have had some successes. Nope. They didn't have any idea. There was nothing that they had in their mind, no premeditation to say we are going to go in and unify. I'm pretty sure if you didn't come out swinging at Kash Patel, you wouldn't have gotten that kind of response. And it got worse from there. That was probably the most civil response or questioning. Mazie Hirono, we don't count her because she's on another planet. She doesn't even know what the hell she's talking about. Today she admitted that women are not as strong as men. I think we've been saying that like forever. But this next one is where it really began sliding downhill.
I don't think you're fit to end the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you.
I don't know if I want somebody like that praying for me. The disdain in his face, Spartacus, and how he acts and pointing like this, that there's no unification there. There's nothing about, you know what, let's work this out. Can we hug it out? Can we just come to some agreement that for the next 2 or 3 hours, as we're sitting here in this hearing, we are not going to be belligerent. We are going to just pump the brakes and show America, as leaders of the country, as true elected leaders, we're going to bring the tone down. Today's not the day. Today we should, show America, lead by example, show America that, you know what, we're not going to go there today. Let America heal. And the problem I have with the next two exchanges is they knew what they were going to do. They knew this was less than a week since Charlie Kirk was killed. They knew this was going to be on the day that this guy got charged. They all knew that. They knew people would be sensitive. They know people are hurting. And they couldn't even bite their tongue on a day less than a week than one of the heroes of the MAGA movement was killed by one of theirs. Couldn't even bite their tongue. And Kash wasn't having it.
Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes, sir.
This point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
To not take responsibility for what you have said.
Time.
Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be the charge of the FBI, but I am not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this...
What are we doing? What are we doing? These people can't even have decorum, and I've already told you just a week ago, they couldn't walk in and just go, not today. So I don't want to hear it from people when they're like, the Republicans don't want to come together, they don't want to unify. You control the hearing. You're the person making the statement or asking the question. The person sitting in front of you is responding. And you chose to go after him. You chose to push his buttons. You chose to insult him. You chose to insult his integrity. You chose to insult the president who he works for, integrity. Oh, he ain't long for this world. He ain't got no loyalty to you. He ain't loyal to nobody. Why? Why did they come out, metaphorically speaking, with guns blazing? Why? because they're basically putting an exclamation right now and going, no, you don't get any time to grieve. You don't get any time to mourn. We don't care. Our objective is singular. Our objective is to take down this country, and we're giving you no reprieve. We're not going to give you time to catch your breath after a gut punch. They know he was close to Charlie. They don't care. They're letting America know on a grand stage. Everybody who is watching across the country this morning watched that and had to have gone, what in the hell is happening? Are you people that evil? Are you people that gutless that all you can do is just go after people and try to tear them down? And you're wondering why confused transformers are hiding out on roofs trying to take shots at people? My gosh.
Back and forth, talking over each other doesn't work. And I said, if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr. Chairman, one point of order.
Go ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
What is this? Is that a sophomore in high school? Well, I watch you do it. You're a grown-ass man. You are a senator in the United States government. And like, well, if he didn't do... Can somebody grow the F up? Can somebody just stand up and go, you know what, you're right. Hey, Chucky, I'm really sorry. I kind of lost my temper. I got hot. No, there's no apologies. It's like, he did it. If he did it, I'm going to hit back. And Cash as well. Like Chuck Grassley said, Chuck said, hey, Cash, don't get into this with them.
He has been rude and disrespectful to senator after senator.
And when the senators were not giving him a chance to answer, I didn't stop the senator either. Go ahead, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If the FBI, under my 7-month leadership, were failing this administration in this country, why do we have 23,000 violent felons arrested this year alone? A double increase from that time last year. Why is it that we have seized 6?
I'm going to come back to that. President Trump is landing right now as we speak. My eyes are kind of squinting because that's not the helicopter he left in. That must... What the heck is that? That is not Marine One, and they didn't change in midair, so I don't know what helicopter that is. That was very odd. Very odd indeed, because we watched him get on Marine One. We watched him get on the green Marine One helicopter, and this one is the one that just landed. Unless this is before Marine One comes, they come out and secure the grounds. This is very weird. Okay, now if there's anybody in the military can explain what we just saw. We saw him get on Marine One, and we saw a military helicopter land, and then a bunch of people get off of it. So there's no way that they change helicopters in midair. Is this like they bring out forces and secure the area before the president helicopter comes in? That one's taken off. So it just dropped off a bunch of people. This is very... Someone talk to me who's been in military. What the heck did we just see? I don't know. I don't know what that was. Nothing there now. So when we see the other one land, I'll cut back to it. Let's get back to Cash as he's talking to Booker.
1,000 weapons. Why have we found 1,500 child predators and arrest them? Why have we 300 human traffickers in jail? Why have we found and identified 4,700 children? Why have we seen 1,600 kilograms of fentanyl in enough to kill a third of the American public, a 25% increase alone from last year? 88,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, 1,700 kilograms of meth seized, and that's just on our criminal operations in summer heat. How is it possible that we're taking 8 kilograms off the streets of the cities in New Jersey and preventing the deaths of 607,000 people this year alone, a failure of the FBI and my leadership? How is it that we have counterintelligence arrests already this year exceeding the numbers from the entirety of last year? 33% increase in PRC, 83% in Russia, 60% in the CI space as it relates to Iran, and we haven't even talked about CT, the southern border, the northern border.
So let me ask.
He brought receipts. He didn't let Cory Booker get an inch on that. See, those are all the questions that, if I was in oversight, if I was someone who was on the oversight committee who wanted to hear from the FBI director, that's what I would ask him. So how many have you done here? What are we doing here? What are we doing on the fentanyl front? What are we doing on the trafficking front? Let him tell you what they've been doing. Don't assume an attack. But the Democrats are letting you know this is where they are headed. They don't care. So here comes the coup de grace. Here comes the big meal, if you want to. Adam Schiff, who should be his demeanor should be way low given the fact that he's under investigation. But no, it's worse.
Ask you very specifically, did you ever take any action to terminate or discipline an FBI agent or employee in whole or in part as retribution for being part of an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
No.
You also committed, you assured Senator Blumenthal, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. So you're testifying today that you played no role in the firing of even a single FBI agent for political retribution.
None for political retribution.
And if any FBI agent said you did, they would be lying. Is that your testimony?
I'm only speaking to my actions. Everybody is allowed to make their allegations.
Oh, no, these are allegations against you.
And
so, Mr. Patel, if senior FBI agents or employees said that you were firing them for political retribution reasons because of the cases they were assigned, you're saying they would be lying. Is that
anyone that was terminated at the FBI was done so for failing to meet the standards, uphold their constitutional oath, and effectuate the mission.
All right, so this is really important. We know that Adam Schiff obviously has some whistleblowers in his pocket. And what he's doing, he isn't doing this for the benefit of Kash Patel or people, in that orbit. He's doing this to poison the well for those of us and those other people who are watching. He's letting people know very coyly, so if anybody else said this, then you'd have to wonder if you're telling the truth because, other people are saying other things. Well, number one, those other people aren't here. Number two, those other people aren't under oath. And number three, we've seen you over the last number of years manufacture evidence. Everything you say in these hearings means absolutely nothing because we've seen what you've done before. So this is just another way for Adam Schiff to come out here and cause all kinds of problems and try to shame Kash Patel in front of the nation. Remember, this is the same guy who said, I've got all kinds of information that President Trump had done this and he's done that. Wait till I show it. We're going to show all of this. And President Trump is president because Adam Schiff had nothing. And he just does this stuff to gin up everything so that he can be on CNN and MSNBC. So he can go, I have a whistleblower who said this and that about Kash Patel when he doesn't have anything. Here comes the real helicopter. That was weird. Very interesting. Oh, he's going to take questions. Oh, interesting. Man, this guy's a machine.
Fantastic ambassador. We appreciate the job he's doing. He's done really well, really well. The relationships are great, and he's been outstanding. So I want to thank him for welcoming us. We had a good flight. A lot of people came with us, and tomorrow's going to be a very big day, Mr. Ambassador. Mr. President, it's going to be an historic day. It's going to be great. Thank you all very much. I love it. Well, I love it. I love Turnberry. I love Aberdeen. I have a lot of things here that they warm my heart. I want to tell you, it's a very special place. Great place. Well, we're going to see him tomorrow, and he's been a friend of mine for a long time, and everybody respects him, and they love him. Thank you very much.
All right, so this is a video outside the arraignment. So as soon as they come out and begin the arraignment, we will go ahead and take that as well too. That was supposed to have started about 10 minutes ago. It has not begun yet. I don't know if they're going to have video inside the courtroom, but if they do, we have the ability to bring it up. So let's continue with this charade of a hearing from this morning as Adam Schiff is trying to trap Kash Patel.
Well, by meet the standards, are you talking about meet the standards of protecting the president under any circumstance?
No.
You also guaranteed Senator Blumenthal that every FBI employee will be held to the absolute same standard. No one will be terminated for case assignments. Are you testifying today that you never terminated anyone at the FBI, in whole or in part, because of a prior case assignment?
No one at the FBI is terminated for case assignments alone.
Well, I'm asking about you, Mr. Patel. Did you, in whole or in part, terminate anyone at the FBI because they worked on the Trump investigation or because they worked on January 6th?
No one at the FBI has been terminated for case assignments alone.
Okay, you're saying alone. Does that mean they were terminated in part because they were assigned to a January 6th case or assigned to the Mar-a-Lago case? You're being very precise here, Mr. Patel. You're saying alone. That means they were fired in part because they were assigned those cases. Is that your testimony?
Absolutely not. But if you want to keep putting words in my mouth,
then
go
let me
ahead.
ask you, let's strip away the word alone. Did you?
Okay. What are we talking about? Did you fire people and maybe because they worked in the Mar-a-Lago investigation or January flipping 6th? That's where you're going back to? Seriously? This is where we are in this country?
Terminate or participate in any discipline of any FBI employee in whole or in part because of their work on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th? Yes or no?
Any terminations at the FBI by employees.
No, I'm asking you a very specific
question. And I'm going to answer the question, but you don't like the answer because it's the truth and it guts
want
your
an answer to my question. I don't want an answer to someone else.
Breaking news into the Fanfare news feed.
I'm waiting. We can't hear you, Judge. Turn on your microphone. All right, so the picture you're looking at is the judge who has obviously not turned on his microphone, but you're getting your first glimpse. The judge is talking, but I don't know who he's talking to. The volume is up. He just has not, as of yet, turned on his microphone to talk to the defendant and the defendant's attorney. So he's making some statements in court, but he has not as of yet turned on his microphone to talk to the defendant. We don't have that audio as of yet. I'm waiting to see. Hopefully this comes on. But there is the guy. There is the guy right there. And I gather the guy with glasses is his. Well, maybe it might not be his attorney. Maybe that might be the U.S. attorney, the prosecutor. Maybe this guy doesn't have an attorney yet. But we're not getting that feed information. You know what? Let me see if I can bring the feed up differently, because the judge is talking, but there is nothing coming through as of right now. Let me check another feed to see if we've got volume. I don't think. Okay, we got this one. All right, try this.
Sign that.
Thank you. I have reviewed the pretrial protective order and will be issuing this pretrial protective order in favor of Erica Kirk. Is there any other business that we need to address today, counsel?
Just for the court's information, we did file just recently, within the last few minutes, a notice of intent to seek the death penalty that was filed by Utah County Attorney Jeff Gray. So that should be in the court's file. Lastly, I would just indicate to the court and to, at this point, Mr. Robinson, that we are prepared to collect all of the discovery in this matter and get that turned over to the defense as soon as possible. Rule 16 requires us to provide what we have relied on in charging the information in bringing these charges within 5 days once it's requested. So that'll be prepared to disseminate to the defense as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Grander. Mr. Robinson, what I also want to do is, you have the right to have the charges read that you stand charged of, and I wish to read those to you at this time. Thank you. Mr. Robinson, for count 1, aggravated murder, a capital felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-5-202, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, intentionally or knowingly caused the death of Charlie Kirk under the following circumstances. The defendant knowingly created a great risk of death to another individual other than Charlie Kirk and the defendant. Notice conviction of this offense may carry the death penalty, or pursuant to Utah Code 76-3-207.7, a mandatory term of imprisonment for life without parole, or an indeterminate term of not less than 25 years, and that may be for life. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2. Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice, if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child aggravating factor, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider as an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent criminal offense in the presence of a child. Count 2, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury, a first-degree felony in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-11-210 sub 2 and 3C, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson discharged a firearm in the direction of Charlie Kirk, knowing or having reason to believe that Charlie Kirk may be endangered by the discharge of the firearm and that the act caused serious bodily injury to Charlie Kirk. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code annotated 76-3-203.14 203.14 sub 2, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. Notice if the trier of fact finds beyond a reasonable doubt that the victim targeting enhancement applies, the sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider the defendant's selection of the victim as an aggravating factor. Violent offense committed in the presence of a child, aggravating factor. The sentencing judge or the Board of Pardons and Parole shall consider an aggravating factor in their deliberations that the defendant committed a violent offense in the presence of a child. Count 3, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-306 sub 2, in that on September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant Tyler James Robinson, with intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or pursuant to any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, conceal or remove the firearm used to shoot Charlie Kirk, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or a first-degree felony. Count 4, obstruction of justice, a second-degree felony in violation of Utah Code 76-8-306, sub 2, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, with an intent to hinder, delay, or prevent the investigation, apprehension, prosecution, conviction, or punishment of any person regarding conduct that constitutes a criminal offense, destroyed, concealed, or removed the clothing he wore during the shooting, and the conduct that constitutes an offense would be a capital felony or first-degree felony. Count 5, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony, information, a document, or an item, to wit, directing his roommate to delete incriminating text messages. Count 6, tampering with a witness, a third-degree felony in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-8-508, in that on or about September 11th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, believed that an official proceeding or investigation was pending or about to be instituted or intended to prevent an official proceeding or investigation, and attempted to induce or otherwise cause his roommate to withhold testimony or information, to wit, directing his roommate to stay silent if the police questioned the roommate. Count 7, violent offense committed in the presence of a child, a Class A misdemeanor in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.10 sub 2 and 76-3-203.14 sub 3a little double I, in that on or about September 10th, 2025 in Utah County, the defendant, Tyler James Robinson, committed criminal homicide in the physical presence of a child younger than 14 years of age, with knowledge that a child was present and that may have been seen or heard the commission of the criminal homicide. Victim targeting enhancement in violation of Utah Code Annotated 76-3-203.14 sub 2, Tyler James Robinson intentionally selected Charlie Kirk because of Tyler James Robinson's belief or perception regarding Charlie Kirk's political expression. That concludes reading of the information. Mr. Robinson, this case is set for September 29th at 10 a.m. It will be a waiver hearing, and I will be the judge assigned to this case. Mr. Robinson, I invite you to join us at that time. Is there anything further, counsel?
No, Your Honor, we'll have counsel appointed by then. Thank you.
Mr. Gurander, anything further?
One item, just for clarification, Your Honor, the hearing on the 29th, is that in person or WebEx?
Thank you. That is a great question. It will be via WebEx.
Okay. Thank you, Judge.
All right. I want to thank all parties for being here. And this concludes this hearing at this time. Court is in recess.
All right.
I don't know. I know the hearing was live, but maybe that guy, they just put his picture, but he didn't look, he looked crazy. He looked absolutely nuts. But not as nuts as what the media is doing right now. The media is absolutely, I guess the only word you can be saying is just like with Luigi Mangione, they seem to be gushing over what they're watching. Let me show you this from, I guess this is MSNBC. No, it's ABC News. Try not to puke.
We have seen an alleged murder with such specific text messages about the alleged murder weapon, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner. So a very interesting and, as Pierre said, riveting press conference, David.
It was tough.
They're riveted by the fact that this guy, man, what is wrong with our media? I can't tell you. Listen to this piece.
I think if you look across media generally, you have seen a lot of people trying to grapple with Charlie Kirk's legacy and what that is as a right-wing agitator and as a provocateur and as, a strategist and the most important GOP figure besides Donald Trump, arguably ever. And so, or right now. And so there's a lot of grappling to do, but to suggest that the internet is cheering for this is just the opposite, total opposite of what's actually happening.
It is horrible.
They must get their walking papers, and they are told, whatever you do, don't tell the truth. To just suggest that the internet is out there talking, and they're making flipping videos. They're not even hiding it. And did she really just say what I think she just said? I can't even comment.
Probably ever. And so, or right now. And so there's a lot of grappling to do, but to suggest that the internet is cheering for this is just the opposite, total opposite of what's actually happening.
It is horrible.
My God. What are they doing to people? Now I know why they're doing some of this stuff. They are so intent on gaslighting America, they're not stopping. I mean, the theme of today's show is we're not going to unify. And that just happened literally about 3:56, an hour ago. They're not stopping. This is still part of the MK Ultra BS. What you see is not a test. Don't worry about it. He was talking to his loved one. Oh my God, it was so touching. And if people are out there saying that people are celebrating, that's just not happening. That proves to you that the people who watch these channels aren't living in reality. How do we unify with people who don't even exist in reality? You can't talk to them. There's nobody talking bad about Charlie Kirk. What do you mean? I've seen hundreds of videos. What are you talking about? The guy Destiny, a huge streamer, just got bounced off of Twitch. What are you talking about? It's not happening. This is so offensive, it's not funny. Meanwhile, back to this hearing. And is it this one?
This question. So let me just be precise, and I ask for a yes or no answer. Did you ever terminate or discipline an FBI employee in whole or in part because they had been assigned or worked on an investigation of Donald Trump or January 6th?
FBI employees are only terminated
yes
if
or
they
no,
fail
Mr.
to
Patel?
uphold their oaths of
yes
office
or no?
and duty.
You're not answering my
FBI
question.
I don't have to answer your question yes or no because you're setting up a trap so you can have a media narrative.
I'm not setting up a trap.
And I'm not giving it to you.
Unless it's true that you fired people.
People have been terminated at the FBI who failed to uphold the standards that the FBI requires them to uphold.
Did you tell anyone at the FBI that all FBI employees who they identified who had worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
Say that I would remove people for case assignments?
That people that were identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs. Did you tell that to someone at the FBI?
People are not removed
just
for case
answer my
assignments.
question. Just answer my question. Did you tell that to someone?
People are not removed for case assignments.
No, you're not answering my question.
And I would never
Mr. Patel,
tell anyone.
Did you tell someone at the FBI that FBI employees identified as having worked on cases against President Trump would be removed from their jobs? Yes or no, did you tell someone that?
I would never tell anyone at the FBI that they're being removed for basically their case assignments.
Okay, so anyone who said that would be lying. Is that your testimony?
Anyone can say whatever they want.
No, I know, but you're saying they were a liar.
I'm telling you what I said.
Because this is in the complaint against you, Mr. Patel. So you're saying Mr. Driscoll and others are liars?
I'm not going to address the complaint in the ongoing
Okay, well then let me ask you, have you ever told anyone at the FBI that the FBI tried to put the president in jail and he hasn't forgotten it, and that your job depended on the removal of agents who worked on cases against the president?
No.
Did you ever tell anyone that?
No.
Okay. Did you ever tell anyone that you knew these summary firings you were undertaking were illegal, likely illegal, and that you would be sued and later deposed? Did you ever tell anyone that?
No firings at the FBI or terminations were done for anything other than justified
Did you ever
cause.
tell anyone that, Mr.?
So obviously what Adam Schiff is setting up here is he must have some whistleblower in his pocket who is now going to come forward and say, this is what Kash Patel has said, and he's going to just use this whistleblower, truthful or not, to try and impugn Kash Patel. Obviously, that's what's coming. It won't happen today because you guys saw it, but that's what's coming. He's letting people know I've conjured up some other kind of crisis.
No terminations at the FBI were ever done in my tenure for anything other than failing to
Did you ever
uphold
tell anyone
their
that,
oath of
Mr. Patel? You willing to answer the question?
The FBI.
I guess you're not willing to answer the question. So let me move on. Let me move on to the Epstein files. You said you're the most transparent FBI director in history, so I'm going to put you to the test. In 2024, you were asked by Glenn Beck about Epstein's Black Book. And you said, he asked, who has Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book? And you said, Black Book, FBI. And he said, but who? That is, I mean, there's, and you said, oh, that's under the direct control of the director of the FBI. That's what you said. Was that true, Mr. Patel?
I'll rely on you quoting it accurately. I did that a couple
Was
of
it
years
true
ago.
what you represented to Mr. Beck and the president's supporters out there, or were you lying? Was it true that the Black Book, Epstein's Black Book, was in the possession of the FBI director?
The Black Book was in the possession of the FBI.
Okay, so now that you're the FBI director, you have possession of the Black Book, right?
That index has been released.
So you have Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book?
What is known as Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book has been released by us.
And you released it. And let me follow up on Senator Kennedy's question, because he asked you, and I'll be very precise here. You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself? And you said, himself, there's no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And Kennedy, the information we have, again, is limited. And Senator Kennedy said, the answer is no one. And you said, for the information we have. So is it your testimony today that in all the Epstein files, that Jeffrey Epstein trafficked no one to anyone but himself? Is that your testimony, Mr.
I never
Patel?
said Jeffrey Epstein didn't traffic anyone else.
Did he traffic any young woman to someone other than himself? That was Mr. Kennedy's question,
And I
Senator Kennedy's
said
question.
the information that 3 administrations have had access to
I'm
have
asking-
made determinations that there are no investigative leads that were credible to prosecute and investigate any others. I'm specifically
I'm asking
stating
you whether
we
it's
were
your
working on.
testimony today.
Well, you just read it, and I said it
I'm-
10 minutes ago, so let the record reflect my testimony.
I just want to make sure there's no misunderstanding, because there are victims like Virginia Guifer who have testified otherwise, who have said otherwise, and you're telling the American people today that the Epstein list is a single name and it's Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're to believe?
That's not what I'm saying. That's what you're saying, and you can say whatever you want.
Let me ask you this. When Todd Blanche went to interview Ghislaine Maxwell, she said, but did I think these guys were coming for that? I really don't. If you met Epstein, there's no way that this cast of characters, of which it's extraordinary, and some are in your cabinet, who you value as your co-workers, and you know would be with him if he was a creep or because they wanted sexual favors. A man wants sexual favors, he will find out. They didn't have to come to Epstein for that. And the next question Todd Blanche, the president's former criminal defense lawyer, asked is not who in the cabinet, who are you referring to? His question is, so when's the last time you think you were with Mr. Epstein when he got a massage? So let me ask you, who are those cabinet members that Ghislaine Maxwell was referring to that were part of this cast of characters associated with Mr. Epstein? Who are they?
The Deputy Attorney General took the aggressive step that no one else did and interviewed Miss Maxwell for
I'm
2
asking you,
days, and we released
who are
the
the cabinet
entirety
members?
of that
Who are the
transcript.
cabinet members?
I do not have that transcript in front of me. You're picking it piecemeal. The American
And
public can read the entirety of
Let me ask you
that.
one last question, because you clearly won't tell us the cabinet members associated with Mr. Epstein. Let me ask you one last question. And that is, right after she gives this testimony in front of an FBI agent, among others, she's transferred to a minimum security prison not suitable for a sex offender like herself. Who made that decision and why?
The Bureau of Prisons.
The Bureau of Decisions made it in
Prisons.
The Bureau of Prisons decided on their own, without any consultation with Blanche or anyone else, that they were going to suddenly, after this interview, completely unrelated to this.
So what you see him doing here is basically conducting a choreographed play. So you're telling me he just answered your damn question. But that's not what he's trying to do here. He's trying to come up with something that he can impugn both Kash Patel and President Trump. Just remember as you're watching this and how this thing is about to explode, that this is happening less than a week after Charlie Kirk was killed. They could have chosen any way to try and unify, but this is what they do.
Interview, completely unrelated to anything she said, move her to a prison not suitable for a sex offender. You want the American people to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No, I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of
you're
inmates.
not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised.
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well,
you're a political buffoon at best, and I don't have one F to give in regards to what you think. Now, I am going to take a little bit of issue with Kash. You let the guy get in your skin. You let the guy get after you there. His job was to try and break you. His job, you went in knowing this guy, well, maybe you didn't. Maybe you thought to yourself, like a lot of people thought. Maybe you said, you know what, today's not the day. Today, just my good friend was just killed unarmed by some psycho. Today they're going to be okay, right? They're not going to start this crap on me today, are they? And they absolutely did. So what I'm going to show you after this, don't tell me about unification. Don't even speak it. These people are not here to say, Cash, I understand this was your good friend. This was a good friend of yours who died, was killed. Let's just talk about what we're doing here. No, they attacked him. Well, I don't want to use the word attack. They went after him. They could have chosen to tone it down. That was the perfect opportunity. Let's tone it down. Let's bring down the rhetoric. Isn't that what they say all the time? Let's bring the rhetoric down. Nope. They came out, proverbial speaking, guns blazing. They didn't care.
You can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said I'm the most transparent FBI director in history. 33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
Both of you be quiet.
Let me ask you about the...
Yeah. Unification, put that in your pipe and smoke it. It ain't happening. There's no way. This thing is irretrievably broken down. I don't know how we fix it. And the whole theme of this is, just remember, it was last Wednesday. We haven't even reached a week yet. And they don't care. They had to have known this guy was close to him. They saw his speech, and they didn't care, not even this much. So don't talk to me about unification. In fact, just today, okay, so you just heard a second ago where the lady was saying, oh, there's nobody saying any bad things about Republicans, okay? Here's another one.
When you foment the idea that we have to be at each other's throats politically, I think that's a dangerous place to be.
Why did I do it? I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out.
So can I ask you? So
he has flat.
Scott, just explain what you just read.
That is the message that the shooter, Tyler Robinson, sent to his roommate. That is what he said. He also engraved the word, "Hey, fascist, catch," on the bullet. For 10 years, we have heard nothing from the left but that Donald Trump is a fascist, Republicans are Nazis, authoritarians, destroy the Constitution, bloodbath, dictator for a day. And he wrote it on the bullet.
So can I ask you?
And he's been obviously marinating in some kind of information that radicalized him based on what he heard in the air in this country.
So does the shooter who assassinated Melissa Hortman, who was a stated Trump supporter, whose roommate said...
Are you trying to equate these two things?
I'm sorry. Can you let me...
They can't talk. It's immediate pivot. What about him? What about this? No. Can you address this person? Can you talk to us? There is no possible way there's a reconciliation when you won't admit what's sitting right in front of you.
As well, the Charlie Kirk stuff. Do you feel safe right now? What would it take for you to feel safe if you don't?
Why do I give a shit how he feels? Are you feel safe? Nobody's taking pot shots at Democrats. I hit the wrong button, but it worked at the right time. Oh my gosh.
Finish my thought, please.
Please.
We're talking about two people in politics who both I'm asking you, does that shooter represent the entirety of the MAGA movement? Of course not. I would never argue that. I don't think you would argue that. So why is it acceptable to use this moment to argue that somebody, a sick individual who committed a horrific crime,
how do you know he's sick?
Is somehow Are you here to argue for his sanity?
I'm here to argue. All I know is what the prosecutor said today. He read very lucid messages from a shooter who was motivated by political hate, who had a plan to get away with it. He did not sound like a deranged person. He sounded like someone who had decided to take it upon himself to rid the world of someone that he hated politically, that he thought that the world would be better off without that. That's different than some deranged lunatic showing up off the street.
His actions were horrific, but to assign the specific hateful, violent, awful actions of somebody on an individual on the right or an individual on the left,
I don't know that you're right about what happened in
of the
Minnesota.
political conversation is incredible.
They can't do it. This kid said fascist. Where the hell did he hear fascist? He wasn't around in 1939. There haven't been any fascists since 1939, 1940. Where did he hear the term fascist over and over and over again? You people bred this. This is your spawn. And you're trying to act like, oh, we didn't, I don't know. This is what you did for the last 10 years. You've bred a legion of zombies out there. And Scott's like, I can't even believe what I'm hearing.
Really dangerous and irresponsible in this moment.
Well, I think it's dangerous and irresponsible for nobody to take responsibility for 10 years of the use of the language. Fascism, Nazi, authoritarian, so on and so forth. It's on the bullet casing.
I have seen nothing but Democrats in the wake of this murder saying that it was awful.
You've seen nothing?
I have seen them
literally nothing?
Elected Democrats, I have seen them saying nothing but it was horrific, that they condemn it, that they are sorry.
Does she know Ilhan Omar? I'm sorry. I've seen nobody. What are they trying to do? What are they trying to do to people by saying it's no big deal? Oh, he was just he was in love. What? You can't backstroke your way out of this. It's obvious. The word has gone out. It's no big deal. Just keep going with the fascist Nazi stuff. This was just one whacked kid. This is not these are not the actions of people who'd like to reconcile. These are the actions of people who are like, okay, that one broke. Whatever happened to him, he broke. Now let's go on and continue like nothing ever happened, and let's go after these Nazis and fascists. And Scott, give him credit. I don't think he can believe what he's hearing.
For his family, that this is an awful moment in the country. I've seen President Trump do nothing but say it was the Democrats' fault.
Can I just jump in here for a second?
Lulu, yes, go ahead.
I just want to read the words of someone who I think is very wise in the wake of 2019 and the killing in El Paso. He wrote, "We have to stop blaming the politicians we loathe for the vile actions of the deranged, evil people who commit mass shootings." He went on to say,
okay, I don't know who wrote that, but guess what? You just said the dude was deranged. Can we find out why that's happening? Why are these people deranged? Possibly because you've driven them there, and they will take no culpability whatsoever.
but here's the thing. We should not, the rush to rage against Trump and the predictive punditry that he will inevitably fail to unite the country seems counterproductive to people who want a meaningful policy outcome. All politicians have a responsibility to ratchet down their own rhetoric and to ask their supporters to stand down as well. And that man was Scott Jennings. And so what I would say about that is those were wise words then, and they should be wise words now.
I don't disagree with any of that. What I am not happy about is that we have the shooter's words. We know what he put on the bullets. It's very, very clear what happened here. And there is a movement by some people to completely say, well, we have no idea.
Scott, hold on.
I don't know. I would look in the comments. I would like anybody to tell me, how do we come together when you can't admit wrongdoing? Every interpersonal relationship I've ever had, if there was something that broke that relationship or threatened the breakup of that relationship, there had to be a come to Jesus moment. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said what I said. I shouldn't have done what I did. Not these people. You need to come groveling back to us and realize it's still Nazis and fascists are causing the problems. And let's go look at which one is this? I forget.
You know, when you go into this job, you assume the risk that is pretty horrible. And I know we're having a long conversation about security and should we have $15,000 or $20,000. You know what we should do? We should shut the hell up and be solemn and dignified in the face of a tragedy, right? I got to tell you, one of my worst moments in my, decade and a half in Congress was that day that Charlie Cook was killed. And some of the Republican members, well known now, decided that they would seize that moment without a fact in the world, not to be solemn, not to urge calm, not to remind us of the angels of our better nature, but to say, you did this to the Democrats. It's your fault. By the way, this is the message coming out of the Oval Office. This is both a way to get more violence and less safety, and also the hallmark of somebody who has no business in a position of leadership. A leader takes it.
Wow. Wow. You twisted that around like that? Every single day, 10, 12 hours a day, you people have said nothing but blah, 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 blah. You've called us every single conceivable name in the book, and you won't accept any responsibility. I'm pointing this out because, again, they're expecting Trump to be the leader to unify. How the hell do I unify at this point? You won't even accept what you've been doing. I think we're stuck. I don't see how this country can come together, nor should they want to come together, because I don't want to have anything to do with somebody who has done what they've done, who can't stand up, look yourself in the mirror, talk to people like humans and go, yeah, we messed up. I don't even need you to say, can you forgive me? I won't even go that far. How about just saying, we need to stop. Let's fix it. Let's come together. Nope, it's you, and you're saying names, and Trump's not fit, and Cash isn't fit. Who's fit?
Deep breath. A leader sort of waits for the facts to come out, and regardless of what those facts are, a leader says, we don't do violence in this country. We resolve our disagreements peacefully.
This is about...
Well, if that is true, then why won't you say that? You're asking Trump to say it, and your side, the people who listen to you, aren't even going to pay any attention. Trump could come out every single day and say, stop it, stop it, stop it. Won't matter. They want him dead. Your side needs to say it. You need to take that initiative. Stop. He's not a fascist. He's not a Nazi. His followers aren't Nazis or fascists or everything else. They're not bigots. They're not homophobes, transphobes, all the phobes. Say it. Because until you're willing to say it, those people that you've festered like boils are just out there doing all their deviant stuff.
Punishing them being the left, them being his political opponents. That actually, I think, is surprising to a lot of Americans, because that's not typically what you would expect to hear from the White House after.
Well, let's talk about some polling.
What lot of Americans are you talking about, Abby? Half the country thinks you people are nuts. I don't think they walk past mirrors in their homes. If they had mirrors, they would realize these people think we are nuts. Man.
He used to justify those comments before he made them on TV. YouGov came out with a poll 3 days ago talking about how each side feels about violence and support of political deaths. Liberals, 16%, believe it's okay to feel joy when your political opponent is killed. Liberals, very liberals, 24%. Conservatives, 4%. Very conservatives, 3%. Justifying violence. Very liberal people have 25% answered yes, it's okay, you justified that you should do violence against your political opponents. Liberals, 17%, conservatives, 8%, and very conservatives, 3%. That means it is 6 to 1 times more likely in respondents to this poll on the left. Now, I'm not saying there's exclusivity on the left. I'm not saying that. But there is certainly a problem where 6 times the amount of Republicans believe that it's okay to feel joy when your political opponent is killed, murdered, whatever, attacked, and that 6 to 1 believe that they are okay in justifying violence against political opponents. That's a problem. That's a cancer within the movement.
That is a huge problem. they didn't want to even acknowledge. You know, I keep using every analogy, but you guys have lived your lives. You know, you can't lose weight till you realize, I got to lose weight. People who have had drinking problems, you can't help them until they realize one day, I've got a drinking problem. You can't quit smoking until one day you say, I'm no longer going to smoke anymore. You can't be a abusive husband until one day, if they stay, that you can say, I'm never doing it again, and mean it. These people are taking zero culpability. None. So it's not going to stop. And then the other side of the coin is they lie with impunity. It's as if they don't realize that there's video that shows them being liars. Case in point.
Completely false. I have never called Republicans Nazis.
Everything that he has done has been tearing down constitutional democracy. And that's what happened in Nazi Germany. It doesn't take very long to tear apart a constitutional republic. Indeed, the Nazis did it in 53 days. And our democracy is almost as fragile. And we're seeing it right now. The dangers that we saw in Nazi Germany, especially in the earliest days of Nazi Germany, are the dangers that we need to react to now. If we don't, things will get much, much worse. And so we've got to...
Wait. We need to react. Who are you talking to? You're a governor of a state. You talk to other Democrat leaders. Who is it that you want to, quote, react? The messaging is insightful. It is there to try to, get people to, as they said, get out in the streets. Do what you need to do. But I didn't say anything. I didn't call any. Yes, you did. They're never going to take accountability.
Raise alarm bells to everybody. It's a 5-alarm fire, everyone.
These are some of his tweets that he has put out in the past. He said that, nope, I never said it. I never said anybody was a Nazi. Look at that stuff. Look at this stuff that he's putting up. In his first term, Trump said Hitler did some good things. Elon proudly gave the Nazi salute. No, he didn't. These people are too much. Unreal.
They've said over and over again for more than a decade, Trump is Hitler, Trump is Hitler. That, I just retweeted a couple of days ago. They don't kill you because you're a Nazi. They call you a Nazi so they can kill you. I have to say I saw polling just recently among people on the left. More than 50% of them believe it is justified to murder Elon Musk, and more than 50% believe it is justified to murder Donald Trump.
According to those Rutgers University researchers, in a poll of more than 1,000 Americans, 50% who self-identify as progressive said killing Elon Musk can be somewhat justified. 56% said the same for assassinating President Trump. 14% said it could be completely justified.
That is wrong. And I got to say, there's an awful lot of both sidesism. Well, both sides are wrong, the commentators say. If you watch CNN, that's what they say. And I will say that's just not accurate. It is true. Both sides should treat each other with respect. That's right. But this is not a problem that occurs on both sides. 2 assassins tried to murder Donald Trump. It was a left-wing, radical Antifa assassin who was living with a transgender that was transitioning from male to female, who murdered Charlie Kirk. This is a left-wing phenomenon because they have spread poison. And if you tell people over and over again the other side is Hitler, it justifies acts of violence. And we need to say enough is enough, and we need to shut it down.
See, the problem is at this point, they can't. And this is where I knew the unification stuff was a pipe dream. They can't pull back. They have bet their political futures on convincing people that we had 3 heads and 6 legs. We were the bad guys. We were the Nazis, the fascists, the deplorables, the homophobes, the xenophobes, the phobe. And he was the leader. He was the head phobe. And when you've spent all of your political capital, all of your media for 10 years telling people all of this, how do you change? One way you do it is by letting people know that that's not how you really feel. But see, that's the problem. I personally feel that many of these people in the media have talked themselves into this. I really feel there are certain people in the media who feel completely threatened by what we believe because they personally are different. Just think to yourself, how many of them have, how do I say this, alternative lifestyles? There's a reason you're on the left, because you want to be around people like you. You know how they keep saying it? I want to be around people like me. Oh, they look like me. I want to be. They didn't say that by accident. These are people who, for some reason, their churches, their families, their former boyfriend or girlfriend has ostracized them because that's who you are? I didn't know you were like that. I've shown you Rachel Maddow's high school photo. You know the whole thing, they keep talking about how people are born that way? Well, I saw her high school photo. Obviously not. Rosie O'Donnell, Keith Olbermann. These people are crazy. And for them, there's no way that they can now sit down and go, well, you know, I was just getting ratings. I was getting clicks. I was getting likes. I was making money on it. And let's come together. You think Rosie O'Donnell will ever walk out on a stage and shake Trump's hand? You think Keith Olbermann will ever make a video and go, you know what, I was wrong about this? No, they can't. It has built their persona. This is who they are. This is whatever they believe in private. What they've sold people on is this is who I am. Jimmy Kimmel could never become all of a sudden a Trump fan. Bill Maher right now is trying to move to the center. He's trying to shed the snake skin. But he's finding it tough. They're calling him out. People like Stephen A. Smith. And he's moving towards the center. They're calling him out. Chris Cuomo, I don't know what the hell he's doing. I don't expect Don Lemon to change because that leopard stripes are on him whether he works in CNN or not. If you know what I mean. And I think you do. So how do people who are actually like the people that they're trying to convince and how they're trying to convince more of them, how do they, who have the microphones and cameras and lights, how do they justify this? I showed you Katie Torr, I think it was Katie, yeah. Her dad is now a mom. This isn't just a job for these people. They believe it. And because they believe it, they need their viewers to believe it. And because their viewers to believe it, they've made millions on it. You think Anderson Cooper's going to change? No. We are on completely different sides of this bridge. And I would have no problem going out and talking to Anderson Cooper or Don Lemon. Can you just chill, bro? I don't care who you're stooping. Doesn't matter to me. Let's have a beer and talk. Nope, nothing. Okay, it's them. They won't cross the bridge. They won't even meet us halfway across the bridge. It's awful. And they've made what I believe to be a incalculable political mistake. There is no way back for them on this. That's why unity can't come, because there's no way back. That's a long road ahead if you're trying to convince people, all right, let's try to make this work. No, you can't. So I'd love any of you guys, other than God, Only way this is ever going to happen is with God. That's it. There's no other way. This country is hopelessly broken, and there's no way to fix it because they don't want to fix it. You ever try to convince somebody to love you? You ever try to tell somebody, hey, listen, can you date me? Can we? No, man, I want nothing to do with you. Please. That doesn't work. They don't have the same feeling. They're not going to get the same feeling. So I don't know what we do at this point, except arm up and get ready. You know, everyone's trying to tamp that down. Oh, you guys are talking about this. Well, I'm intelligent. I can see what's happening. I don't have to listen to somebody say it's a conflict or not a conflict. You, watching these videos, can sit back and go, do your own assessment. Is it looking like to you that safety will prevail? Or does it look like it to you that more of this is on the way? And just make a conscious choice. Just think for yourself. Should I be getting ready to protect myself and my family? Or is this just a passing fad? It'll be okay. I don't even know how you get there. I really, really don't know how you get there. Let me take a second and tell you guys about, my light's blinking here. Where am I? What do I got going on? Oh, okay. I got to tell you about the watch. And we're going to talk to you about the MAGA red watch, which some of you guys have gotten. And I'm glad you guys are enjoying the red watch. Where's the little banner that goes along the bottom? That's right there. You know, sometimes you buy a watch just to tell time, or it looks good. I get this. Somebody gave this to me as a Movado timepiece, museum piece. And then you get watches that just to tell time, you get watches that look good, and then you get watches to make a statement. That's what this one is. Buy this one. This one tells a story. This Trump wristwatch with the black steel band, the bold, solid red face. It's sharp, it's strong, and it stands out. But more than that, every time you check the time, it's a little reminder to you that truth still matters. In a world where everyone's trying to spin you, this watch is like carrying a compass, a moral compass that points you back to what's real. And hey, if you're being honest with each other, it also looks really good. Look at that. Nice looking watch there. It honestly goes with everything. Dress it up, keep it casual. For some, it's a daily timepiece you'll wear proudly, and for others, perhaps it's something you'll hold on to as a collector's item. A reminder of this moment in time, and what a time to be alive. Yeah. Either way, it's not just a watch, it's a statement of what you believe in. It's the kind of thing you'll be glad you've gotten when someone asks, where were you when all this was happening? You'll be reminded. You can just point to your wristwatch and say, right here, keeping track. So yes, sure, it tells us time, but it also tells a story, one that represents the truth. And these days, that feels even more valuable. Get yours today, as it says on the bottom, at themagaoffers.com/berrywatch, or click the link in the description below this video, and you'll get a good discount just for being a loyal listener of Fanfare. Thank you guys for that, and thank you to MAGA Offers for your assistance in promoting this show. All right, so as I said, these people have made a colossal political mistake, and other people are starting to notice it, and they're not going to let people get away with it.
It does seem like some of those most outlandish statements we've seen online and on television and other places seem to really hurt the left in a political sense. I mean, long-term hurt, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's right, Brett. I mean, I think to a considerable extent, the reaction to Charlie Kirk is a reflection of what has been the reaction to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has triggered what is widely referred to as Trump derangement syndrome, which refers to an absolute inability to see Donald Trump as anything other than a danger, a threat to society, a national emergency. Charlie Kirk went around the country supporting President Trump by and large, but with his own agenda as well. And the reaction is very similar. It is irrational. It is vicious. It is extraordinarily harsh. And I think, Americans as a people have long thought that ordinary decency requires that you don't speak ill of the dead. You don't speak, certainly not in the immediate aftermath of a death. You don't do that. That's not how Americans react. It's not how most people in the world react. And yet we've seen some of that. And I think that you're right, Brett, that it's been so poisonous and seems so poisonous to so many people that it reflects badly on the American left and therefore to some extent on the political party that represents the American left.
Yeah, and last thing, Britt, you're a man of faith. You talk about it. Young people sometimes don't talk about it. But now in the wake of this, I've heard a lot more of it. I've heard a lot more of expressing their faith and a need for faith in their life.
It was certainly central to Charlie Kirk's message and the way he lived his life. And, you know, it may have helped to create a new kind of permission structure on that very thing in life. And I know that I'm reading that the churches were filled to a much greater extent than usual this Sunday. That's a sign that something very positive.
Okay, so churches are being filled. People are reaching out and looking to a higher power. Those are the things that most of the people on the left don't subscribe to either. You can't make somebody be a Christian. You can't make somebody who's not open to the idea of prayer and Christ. You can't do it. See, what did happen, though, there was enough people out there who do have open minds and said, you know what, I need to reach out. I need to go to church. I'd like to read the Bible. Can somebody show me something? Because when you see that happen, the visual of seeing somebody die right in front of you in such a violent manner, you need counseling. You need faith. Something to pull you back and go, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to stop this nightmare? He lived such a good life. His family, his wife, his friends. Can I get some of that? And so a lot of the people on the left, especially the ones who are Marxists and communists, they don't want none of that either. So it seems like all the things that we would need in place to be reconciled, they don't want any of it. They don't want church. They don't want faith. They don't want family. They don't want kids. What is there to talk about? That's why they're miserable. That's why they're angry. They can't look to anybody who's got an actual living life that's fulfilled. They don't have that. And how do I reconcile with somebody when I'm like, hey, have you thought about having a family? I don't want any kids. Oh, okay. Have you thought about getting married? Nope. Okay. Want to go to church this weekend? Nope. You people and your fantasy gods that you pray in the clouds. What do you say? What do you say at that point?
Needs to be done is their propaganda and lies has to be exposed. I hope that it's been eye-opening for the public to see the bloodlust that exists, not just on the fringe left, obviously, but also on the mainstream left in the aftermath of this assassination. It is a cancer that exists on the left, and it's mainstream, and there's some data to back that up. Just overnight, a mural for Charlie Kirk in Pensacola, Florida, was vandalized with Antifa propaganda on it, and some of the messages that left on it were the exact messages from what was engraved on the rifle cartridges that were used in the attack. So this is the mindset we're dealing with. It is, I will call it a death cult. They worship death, they want their targets killed, and they've been supported by a huge apparatus. I'm not just talking about the Black Bloc militants who are on the streets acting as thugs, carrying out arson attacks and assaulting people. I'm talking about politicians who spread their propaganda and lies, NGOs, nonprofit groups, elected officials, and many in the Democrat Party, and of course many journalists. We've seen many disgusting lies spread in the last few days in liberal media suggesting somehow that this accused gunman was a far-right Christian nationalist inspired by MAGA.
Yeah, there's a big disinformation campaign underway by the legacy media to both sides of the issue and raise questions about this assassin's left-wing credentials.
I see some people in the comments are asking who this guy is. I don't know how to say his name correctly. His last name is NGO. It's Andy No, I guess is how you'd pronounce it. He's been in the thick of it filming and reporting on Antifa for quite some time. He's been assaulted himself. He's been nearly taken out. He's been in the front lines of showing people these people aren't playing. They are completely miserable. They hate everything, and if they're given the opportunity, they will hurt anybody in their way, including him. I remember when he got assaulted. I'm like, wow, they don't care. There's no respect. You either think their way, or we're going to try and make it so you never think again. Tell me how we're supposed to reconcile with people who feel that way. They're absolutely miserable.
We've exposed it and debunked it, and no one's paying attention to these people anymore. These aren't fringe people. These are people that are teaching your children celebrating Charlie Kirk being assassinated. These are neurologists. These are people who work at Fortune 500 companies, and they're sounding like the devil himself. And so these people, we don't have to tolerate. We can forgive, but they have to get on their knees and they have to beg for forgiveness. They have to.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Every single one of you guys who are watching right now, you know that's never going to happen. They are so steadfast in their mission. That's why every time they vote, it's like 200-0, 150-0. There is no turning away from the movement. You can't fray from it. Meanwhile, here on the Republican side, I'm like, oh my God, I got people trying to go after Pam Bondi again. You'll never see that on the Democrat side. For the first time, John Fetterman came out and said, I don't think we need to be doing this. But over on our side, every time somebody does something they don't like, they run out there and blast it to the world. You know, sometimes, what does my wife say to me? She goes, just because you can doesn't mean you should. If you don't like what Pam Bondi is saying, or Cash, instead of getting on the phone or whatever and telling the world that you think that she needs to be fired, why don't you just shut the F up? Why give the left more ammunition? What does it do for you to tell the world that you're not happy with Pam Bondi? What do you think? What's it do? It's like a misery loves company type thing, and you're sounding so much like the left. There's only a few of them. You guys have probably seen who they are. I'm like, oh my God, again, the MAGA Confederates. You feel like you got to say something negative instead of just shutting up. Well, I'm entitled to I've heard that too. I'm entitled to my opinion. Yeah, you are absolutely entitled to your opinion. But sometimes you have to exercise restraint. Your opinion doesn't always have to end up on X. Your opinion can be with somebody close to you. You can be at a bar or a restaurant. You know what? I really didn't like what Pam Bondi did today. Oh, you either? Nah. But I want to tell millions of people because my opinion matters so much, I don't care. Your opinion always matters, but you also have the power of restraint. You are right now, I mean, maybe you haven't worked for a brand. Maybe you haven't been on a team. That's why my team down here, the Miami Dolphins, is sucking this year, and one or two of the players are saying some crappy stuff, but the other 90 guys were just, hey, I'm right behind my coach. Notre Dame started off 0-2 again. I'm pissed off that they lost. I'm not calling for the coach to be fired. Why'd they run this play? Why'd they do this? Why'd they do that? But I'm not saying the team needs to be disbanded. People took to Twitter today, or X rather, and they were talking about how Pam Bondi said the wrong thing and she should be fired. Why? Why do you have to do that? So, Jesse, I understand where you're going. I don't ever think it's a reality.
their political sins. Only then will we allow them back into polite society. Until then, we will be seeking them out and exposing them with sunlight. We will disinfect them with sunlight. Everything they say or do will be exposed, and then everybody will know who they are. And they will not be allowed to be with us, live with us, be in our companies, be in our social groups. No, I'm not living with people who celebrate assassinations. This isn't like a freedom of speech thing where like, oh yeah, I disagree on the border. This is like my guy just got shot in the neck and you guys are cheering. You're going to a vigil and you're dancing on the guy's grave. You don't deserve to be able to say that and then have no penalty. There will be costs. There'll be social costs, financial costs. We will shame, excommunicate them, banish them. And that is a promise. And until then, game on.
Greg?
Yeah, look, I think...
I understand he's really upset. Many of us are really upset. But is that where we want, is that the stance we want to take? Or should we let them take that stance? And what I mean by that is, I think we should be like this, open arms. Come on. Let them say no. Don't give them the opportunity to say, you know what, I would have thought about talking to Jesse, but he said he didn't want to hear from me. I think calming down, you look at that and go, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to explain and have some discourse with you. Inside, you're like, this ain't ever going to work. But at least to the outer, hey, listen, is there anything we can find commonality with? Anything? Can we start there? Do you like chicken wings? No, chicken wings have GMOs, and okay, I'm sorry I brought that up. I don't eat meat. Okay. Do you like roller coasters? I mean, something. Can we talk here? Can we pretend as though that we're on the same planet? Do you like to dance? What music do you like? Can we start there? You know, it's really funny. Really funny. A quick anecdote here. When I was up in Connecticut visiting my sister when she got sick, and this is like really funny. Well, I found it real funny. Those of you guys know, I went up there, and while I was in Connecticut, there was someone who watches our videos, BLS Doom Crew is his handle, and he's like, you're going to be up here, I'd like to meet you, let's have lunch. And I'm like, I don't know, it's going to be kind of dangerous, I don't know what kind of person this is. And so I was telling Robin, and she's like, you can't do it. I'm like, I'm going to get there early, and I'm just going to make sure I'm in a nice public place and wait for the guy to come in. And BLS comes in, and he comes in, and he looks like somebody from like the ZZ Top band. He's got a long beard. I mean, he looks like he just got off a Harley. Completely different. You're looking at me, and here comes in a biker-looking dude. And he sits down, and we shake hands, and we start having lunch, and we chowed. There was some commonality there. His boy likes his groceries. His boy likes his groceries. And we're like, okay, you want some of this? Let's get... Waitress is running like, you guys going to finish all this? Oh, yeah, bring it. And we're killing groceries. We're killing food at the table and talking. And right away, I knew I got something in common with this dude. He likes his food as well, and so we're talking and chewing on stuff, and hey, bring me another drink, and relaxing, and then the conversation turns to music. And most people of my persuasion have nothing to do with hard rock and Ozzy Osbourne. BOS is a huge Ozzy fan. And he didn't know that I knew about Randy Rhoads, and we went back and we're talking all this kind of stuff about rock and roll and different bands and stuff. We found commonality. I mean, we didn't need it because he's a Trump fan too, but I didn't know him. And just by breaking bread with him and a whole lot of chicken wings, we were able to talk and converse and find commonality. A bunch of commonality. Just by merely sitting down for 45 or 60 minutes with somebody that you never knew before, who looks completely different from you, unlike these people, like, I want to make sure I'm around people that look like me. We couldn't have been completely different if we tried. Completely different. I'm pretty sure the waitresses are walking by like, what the hell are these two people doing here? You got a big old mountain-looking ZZ Top dude, and you got a big old football-looking black dude, and they look completely different, and they're sitting there laughing and having a good time. Because we had commonality, and we sought it out. We knew we're Trump fans. That was one thing. And then we found out through the food, and then, of course, many people have watched me do the Rumble jump-overs know I like rock music. So we're set. We spent an hour there and just this much talking politics and this much just talking life. Found out about his wife, found out about his kids, saw his car, taking his pictures, exchange. And here we are, I don't know, that was like 2 months ago. I still get texts from him, hey, when you coming up to Connecticut again? Not until it gets warm again, that's for sure. And then, when you coming to Florida, bro? How many liberals can you do that with? How many liberals can you say out, can we meet for lunch at this place? And I don't want to have to go through the whole menu because I can't eat that because it was taken by this and that. Is there anything on this menu you could eat? Can you just shut up and order something? What kind of music do you like? Oh, music's bad. People get money. Check, please. Check, please.
When someone is murdered, particularly for those of us who are political actors and we're in the political system, when someone's murdered, and for whatever reason, I don't know exactly what the motivations were of the guy in Minnesota. It sounds like he had some mental problems. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. We should say, this is wrong. People should not be murdered. People who are in public service should not have to fear being murdered.
Wait. Can you imagine having to tell somebody that? See, that's where, there's another thing when I saw that, I'm like, oh, God. You have to impart upon people that people shouldn't be murdered? We're done. We're done. If I have to explain to you, killing people are bad, killing people you don't like is bad, then we know we're in big trouble. If I have to have that discussion with you, you're like, really?
Like Charlie Kirk, who were doing nothing more than engaging in what we always say we should do, talk to each other and engage in civil discourse, they should not have to fear violent reprisals. That's what everyone should say. But in the case of these people who are being fired from their jobs, I mean, we're kind of tiptoeing around it here, but, I can read some of them out loud if you want. These people were not online saying, well, I disagree with Charlie Kirk. They were online saying the world is better off without him. They were online saying, his wife, in this case, she's a sick F word for marrying him. I don't care about her feelings. We're better off living in a world without a disgusting psychopath.
Notice the looks on their faces don't change. He's reading an actual post from one of the nuts. There's a whole bunch of them, and neither of them even so much as crack any grin or anything. That told me a lot when I was watching this. They look like stone figures. They look like they want Scott to disappear. They look like they think like the person who wrote that post. Just by looking at those two sitting there, they don't want to hear what Scott is telling them.
That's who we're talking about here. And I'll tell you one more thing that's on my mind tonight, and conservatives everywhere. The idea that people are saying, well, he was an extremist, or he was a racist, or he was a Nazi, or a misogynist, whatever. Therefore, we could get around to rationalizing it. Charlie Kirk was a mainstream conservative Republican. He had views that are held by tens of millions of people, including more than half the country in the last election. So,
still, some of you guys were saying was the shooter frozen on his camera. Is this camera frozen? I'm looking at empty vessels. Scott is trying to talk to them, and Caitlin Kyle, I don't know how you sit like that the entire time. And the other dude, his brows all furrowed. Something isn't right. When you can't have a conversation where people are just looking at you like, can you please shut up? That's what I'm getting from this.
If you're online saying this is justified, what you're actually saying is half the country I live in, there's some justification to commit violence or murder against them. And that's what is concerning about the people who were doing this. And that's why I don't think anybody is losing any.
They both took breaths. You can see them both take. Can you make it stop? But they still came back to the same looks.
Sleep about these folks not being able to teach our children.
Yes, we don't.
I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen people just completely stay stone-faced on such a serious topic that you would obviously have a response for. You obviously would want to respond to something like that. Nope. Not at all. Now, many of you may have seen this next piece. Greg Gutfeld tears Jessica Tarloff a new one. Deservedly so. What Greg's about to say speaks, I think, for many of us, if not all of us.
What is interesting here is why is only this happening on the left and not the right? That's all we need to know.
What about
There's
Vance
absolutely no cognitive...
What about Melissa Hortman that we just talked about?
You want to talk about Melissa Hortman? Did you know her name before it happened? None of us did. None of us were spending every single day talking about Mrs. Hortman. I never heard of her until after she died.
So she doesn't matter?
Don't play that bullshit with me. You know what I'm saying is there was no demonization, amplification about that woman before she died. It was a specific crime against her by somebody who knew her. The same. Now you could bring up Josh Shapiro, but then you will not bring up, for example, that was a pro-Palestine person. So don't use your. What about this? The fact of the matter is the both sides argument not only doesn't fly. We don't care. We don't care about your both sides argument. That shit is dead. For one thing, there is no cognitive dissonance on our side. On your side, your beliefs do not match reality, so you're coming up with these rationalizations like, what about this or what about that? We're not doing that because we saw it happen. We saw a young, bright man assassinated, and we know who did it. We are not coming up with rationalizations. We are calm, we are honest, and we are resolute. We're not defensive, and I understand the defensiveness. I understand why people are saying, what about this and what about this? Because if you have to face the underlying fact to this, your life is going to fall apart because you're going to realize you're not the good guys. If you sat around and you defended the mutilation of children, you're not the good guys. If you sat 600, 700 cases of harassment against Republicans and you said, but what about this? What about this? And then you see this murder after calling somebody a fascist, you realize maybe I'm not the good guy. That is a hell of a realization to deal with. So therefore, you have to grasp at rationalizations. You don't have to do that, Jessica. They do. I don't believe you're part of that group, but why the hell do you have to mimic and echo that crap to us? He was a patsy. That guy was a patsy. He was under the hypnotic spell of a direct-to-consumer nihilism, the trans cult, and you know that. If you can decide that biology is false, you can agree that murder is okay and that humanity is expendable. How you cannot see that alone and see that for what the evil it is without having to attach all of these other things is beyond me.
I just want to be clear, and I want to let people speak. I in no way intended at all to minimize what happened to Charlie. I was horrified by it. I have not been on the five
but
since
the two
then.
sides argument, it's like pig Latin to a duck.
No. All that I was saying is could we have all of the information before you just say they did this? Because that is a broad brush to paint with this. And this kid
Let's have a conversation.
No.
Charlie had a conversation. He got shot. Look, I'm sorry, Jessica. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You weren't here for a week. You came in here and it's cold. And I'm sorry, but this is a story that is immune to news cycles. It's immune to rationalizations. It's immune to bias. This thing is with us for good. And we all have to deal with that. So that means we can't live by the same arguments that you might be reading about relativism among the media. We can't deal with those stories. It doesn't matter. The media is dead to us on the story. They built this thing up. We're dealing with it. We're going to act. We don't care what the whataboutism is anymore. That shit's dead. Sorry.
It is what it is at this point. It's dead. We don't care what you have to think. We don't care that you guys have whacked out ideas. If you don't want to be the adult in the room, allow the adults that are in the room to take control. I'm done trying to placate people who are idiots. I am done trying to convince people that murder is a bad thing. I'm done with that. How can I possibly, if I can't even speak to you to the point where we can't even have an agreement as to whether murder is bad, then you're irretrievably broken. I can't help you. We learn that as children. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you're not a believer in the Ten Commandments, you still should know right from wrong. And as the poll said earlier, 50+% of people think it's okay. So I want you could tell me in the chat, how in the hell are we supposed to unite when 50% of the people can't tell right from wrong? I played that stat a long time ago in the show, and I wanted you guys to just germinate on that. Because everybody who says, you know what, let's go ahead and reach out, or, you know, maybe there's something we can work on. How? When the things that you and I learned as kids, me, 50, 60 years ago, however old it was when you were a kid, don't do this. This is bad. And now we've got 50% of liberals who say, yeah, it's okay to take out Trump. I don't know how we fix that. That is a sickness. I think at this point you can realize that's a sickness. We are never coming back from that. Because in order for me to even be able to talk to you, the basis of our conversation has to be, you understand right from wrong, don't you? No, I'm pretty sure it's okay to take out Trump. No, it's not okay to take out anybody. So you're telling me we have to have that elementary conversation with people? That's where we have to go? I understand you're from the left and you've probably been on another planet for, ever. But here where we live, it's not okay to take anybody out. Huh? What do you mean? Most of me and my buddies and all my friends, we're okay with it. Well, that should tell you what's wrong. You see, when I played that and you guys heard it yourself, you should have realized at that point, as soon as you heard that piece, that we're in big trouble. There is no way to come back from anything remotely close to unification when half the people on the left think it's okay, they're justified to take people out. Convince me of that. I don't even know how it's possible. I don't even know what you do at that point. I'm looking to see if I kept that video, because if I kept that video, I would show it to you again just so you can dwell on it, because it's absolutely insane that somebody would say to themselves, asked it, when not just to themselves, they said it in public. They took a poll and said it. Here, let me end with just playing it again so that you guys can hear it for yourself what these people think. Because when you hear this again, now you get to just dwell on this. Just listen. I'll listen along with you. In case you missed it, listen to this real quick and tell me how we unify from this.
According to those Rutgers University researchers, in a poll of more than 1,000 Americans, 50% who self-identify as progressive said killing Elon Musk can be somewhat justified. 56% said the same for assassinating President Trump. 14% said it could be completely justified.
No. You are never going to be able to unify this country when 56% of the people don't know right from wrong. That is probably the most disturbing survey stat I have ever heard. Because at that point, you realize you're going to have to dial back to childhood with some of these people. They need that kind of counseling. They need that kind of prayer. Hey, wait a second, bro. Do you think it's okay to take somebody out because you don't like them? First of all, how long have you had this thought? How long has it taken you to somehow think in your mind it's okay to take somebody out because you don't like their political views? When can you pinpoint the time when it happened? Because something malfunctioned by the time you were in kindergarten to now. To actually contemplate and say, yeah, he and Elon, yeah, we should take care of them. So I'm not a psychologist, but you tell me how you unify with people, how it's not a fantasy. In order for it not to be a fantasy, you have to say how it's even possible to take somebody, 50% of liberals, who believe it's okay. When we're talking about what has got to be a foundational belief for every American. No, it's not good to waste anybody. Yet 56% of them think it is. God help us. Get ready. It ain't stopping. There's going to be more. Make sure you are protected, because that kind of thing, I can't get over. I don't know. Me, myself, I got to pray on that. I am going to have to pray and go, wait a second, Lord. You don't break broken peoples. What happened? Oh, it's evil. Oh, okay. Because there's no other answer. You can't have half of a population walking around going, yeah, that person needs to go. Oh, that one too. They need to go. Oh, that Charlie Kirk dude? Yeah, he definitely needs to go. Oh, that Barry Cunningham. How about Benny Johnson? How about that Petra? Where's it end? Where's it end when you say to yourself and people around you publicly, yeah, it's okay to take them out? God help us, because I don't even know what you can do at that point. Crazy. Got the people from Patriot Addict. They've got something new here that they want to discuss. This is interesting. Let me bring this to you real quick here. Hold on. Let me click the button. All right, so they've got something new, and they are selling commemorative coins for people who would like them for President Trump. They have an 8-piece set that they're offering. The 8-piece set includes a $1 million Trump banknote, 5 coins that resemble President Trump in his historic moments, and not 1 but 2 Trump poker cards. All you got to do, over $250 worth of Trump memorabilia, and it's only available for you guys for a limited time only. You should act right now. Just go ahead and click the QR code. I will have those things in place tomorrow. I actually can show you, so you don't just have to look at the QR code, but hit the QR code and check it out. This is something new that they're offering the Fanfare family. Thank you, Patriot Addict. I would have to definitely look at that and see, I'll show it to you tomorrow. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's go ahead and take a few comments before we leave. Mark Mollenhauer says, I don't know. I can't even have a reasonably logical conversation with my brother. Well, maybe you should ask your brother that one question we just talked about. Maybe you should find out the people closest to you, people in your family. Ask them that one question. Hey, John, do you think it's okay and justified to take out Trump and or Musk or anybody else that you don't believe? You got to ask people that question. You got to find out what side of the 50% they're on. Mark, you're going to have to start there. You think it's okay to... Because then you can't even go with any other conversations. You're like, wait a second, man. We got to talk. Mom didn't raise us this way. What the hell's happened with you? You're saying it's okay to take out the president? We need to go see mom, dad, the priest, your kindergarten teacher. Something's broken. That hurts to hear, but I hear all the time the divide hurts. It's beyond divide. Randy, we need to keep praying. I have a good witch in the family, pagan, no talking about almost anything with her. Well, for your own family's safety, Cindy, you got to ask the question. You need to find out how bad is your sister or your friend or family member broken. I want to know. I will ask my own family who still doesn't like Trump. Do you think it's okay for him to die? Oh, okay. We can go to the next round then. But if you're telling me that you think it's okay, we got a problem. No, actually, you got a problem I'm trying to help you with. Demons have been released on Earth. Yeah. Paul says battle lines are drawn. Yes, they are. My family, my nephew told me whatever it takes to get back to normal. Not normal. What normal? You want to talk about normal? Let me show you something. This is absolutely terrifying. Representative Andy Biggs posted this. I want you to look at this. This is absolutely nutterballs, okay? We're talking about being able to take people out, right? Okay. 178 Democrats voted to allow D.C. to continue trying 24-year-olds as juveniles. Accountability is a foreign concept to those on the left. But more importantly, to me, if you look at that number, one Republican said it's okay. 179 people, he said Democrat, 178 Democrats said, no, we should keep treating them as juveniles. But also one Republican said we should keep them as juveniles at 24. What were you doing when you were 24? Just think about that. Well, how has things changed so much that 24 was considered juvenile? And then think back to when you were 24. They call us boomers. I'm like, well, by the time I was 24, I had my own apartment. I was doing stuff. And what? Yeah, it's just insane. It's insane. I was on my own by then. Yeah, exactly. I got 24. Yeah, I couldn't wait to have my own place. 24. I had my own place when I was 17. When I got out of high school and went to college, that was it. Because they want them to believe that they won't be held accountable, so they could do their dirty deeds. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up. Who was the one Republican? Who? Got to find that out. Yeah. Barry, I pray for her redemption and block demons from my grandson every day. Got to keep doing it, Cindy. But you got to ask the question now. We need to keep President Trump safe with the rest of the Republican Party. Yeah. At 24, I was married with 2 kids. Yeah. These people are like, I'm still a kid. I'm doing crimes, but I'm still a kid. Let me just tell you real quick here what tomorrow's schedule will look like, because I think that they have posted President Trump's schedule for tomorrow already. In fact, it looks like they've posted his schedule for the next 2 days. So let's take a look here, because I don't know, I need to talk to the mods. Maybe we need to go to a second string or something to tell other people, y'all need to check in. Okay, so tomorrow is Wednesday the 17th. Let's look at Wednesday the 17th so we can decide what's going to be happening tomorrow. All right, so at 3:30 a.m., which is 8:30 our time, they're meeting, and then at 7:20. So they better convert it for me so I can read it quickly here. All right, so at 12:20. President Trump and Melania are going to be at the Windsor Castle arrival. Then at 1 o'clock, President and First Lady will in a private luncheon, so they won't show that. Then they're going to have President and First Lady participate in the St. George Chapel visit and wealth laying at the tomb of Queen Elizabeth at 3 o'clock. They will show that. The President and Lady, First Lady Melania, participate in a beating retreat musical performance at 4:25. Then at 8:30, they're going to have a state banquet. And then at 10:15, they participate in a post-dinner program. 10:15? Are you telling me I'm going to be on like all day? I got to figure out what we can cover, what we're not going to cover. Then Thursday, which they've already posted. What's the first thing here? At 10 a.m. our time, Eastern, President and Melania participate in a farewell to King and Queen. And then at 10:30, he departs. Then at 11:15 our time, he has a bilateral meeting with Keir Starmer. All right, so now I know we're going to be doing a morning show that day as well. Then at 12:45, he has a reception again with, oh man, I don't know how I'm going to do. Robin, get vitamins. Then at 2:20, he has a press conference with Prime Minister Starmer. Well, let me get some of that Brightcore stuff because damn. All right. Oh, then he comes up. Then he's going to fly all the way home, and he'll be back at the White House at 8:30 Thursday. Oh God. No sleep for the wicked. Oh, good gosh. Man, this guy's schedule. So look for a lot of stuff tomorrow. Well, Melania getting ideas for ballrooms. Yeah, probably. Oh, it's crazy. What an absolute schedule. Trump knows about the unrest. No, not anymore. Find someone else to play with. Yeah. All right, guys. Like I said, it's already 6:40, so we're not going to do a jump over show tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to not one but two shows today. SB, let me see. Got to do super chats real quick, and then we can get out of here. And I'll run the after party, and you guys can hang out if you like. Almost done with getting both of the. Actually, there's going to be 3 studio locations. This morning it worked out perfectly. And then, who knows, probably by Monday we'll have, because it doesn't seem like I'm going to have enough downtime to completely do everything, because President Trump is going to be doing all these different events. All right, so let me start here. Here we go. Mama Mima, I wonder if Barron Trump came to Washington, D.C. for security. Good question. Possibly. Buddy Sanders, President Trump safer in Saudi Arabia than the U.K. That's saying something. See, when that first helicopter dropped and a whole bunch of people ran out, I was wondering if those were soldiers that were, putting something around the perimeter, because then the other 2 helicopters showed up. That was pretty crazy. Franco, music suggestion for all us new Charlie Kirks. I love to change the world by 10 years after. I played Alvin Lee literally about a week ago. Fantastic song. Fantastic song. Dave Ratton, Democrats speak civil to anyone? It's impossible. From a Canadian, we're pretty much past this point, which is why I voted that the U.S. is too far down the rabbit hole. Yeah. I think a lot of people are going to come to that realization. Trevor Norse, Cash is king. Thank you. Oh yeah, Cash Patel. Just another knucklehead. I may have posted this previously. I think we keep calling them lunatics every day until they are voted out. Do not let up. Publicly call the loons and the nuts. I'm okay with that. Tammy Wilkstrom, please pray for President Trump's health. Occult and witchcraft with human sacrifice are attacking his health, circulation, heart, and trying to give him a stroke. Well, he's been dealing with that for 10 years. Stray shot. It was difficult to answer the poll question. Many Democrats at lowest level are kept in the dark. I see this in the local news. It's possible to work this out, but those indifferent, turned off politically, must get involved. Good point. Cindy Brown, Charlie Kirk is biblical. Check out Jonathan Kahn. Okay, thank you. Ken Romolino, Charlie's killer is in a vest. He's in a watch unit so he doesn't hurt himself. Yeah, the last thing we need is for him to pull a Epstein. Michael Dallas fan in D.C. Who is Tyler Robinson's lawyer? I think it is so far the public defender, but I'm sure there's probably somebody that's going to step up. Michael again, they have witnesses, no names for the story. Where is the gun from? It's Grandpa's gun. From what I understand, it was Grandpa's. Buddy Sanders, we don't hate the media enough. Yep, they're trying to spin it already. Who Dove? Wait Dove. It's not much, but I appreciate it. No, never apologize. Thank you very much. Mary Boston, we can never come together with people who are trying to fool you once more. Absolutely. Penny Corridor. Where'd that go? Penny Corridor. Oh, I know why cash loss is cool. Adam Schiff has the audacity of Satan to accuse people in the Trump administration of political retribution after everything he did. You're so right. Lynn Hengel, the long-haired guy who cheered right after CK was shot. He just put out a video trying to explain himself. It's kind of scary. I see a ton more arrests coming. I believe that as well. Penny, when they deny they are doing nothing wrong, when they deny calling Trump Nazi and MAGA fascist, they are saying they aren't going to stop doing it and saying these bad things about Trump and MAGA. Yep, because they believe it. Judy Branch, come quickly, Lord Jesus. Thank you. Robert Petruska, how many XP do I have to get a lifetime membership? I don't know what that means. Stealth Blue, the minute they started getting involved in the family dynamic of spanking your child and giving them accountability, we went straight to hell. Yeah, call your mom. Call the police. Tell your teacher. We'll get after your mom. Raven Kirkendall, people think it's okay to off unborn babies. Then why are we surprised they feel nothing about their opponents? Wow. Play AI asks what Charlie would say clip from Trish Reagan. I've seen that going around. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Dave Rattan again. They can tell right from wrong, Barry, but they refuse to. Sad state of where we are. That's very sad. My youngest daughter told me last week that she doesn't believe in God. Oh my gosh. Mel, praying for her soul. Man, she doesn't believe in God. Wow. Very sad. Very sad. But she's young enough, hopefully, where you can do something about that. All right, everybody, I will see you tomorrow at some time. We have to sit down and figure out where he's going to be in England tomorrow and what time we can do some stuff. Thanks for tuning in to these two shows. I think we had over like 6 or 7 hours of broadcast today. Thank you, guys.